What is going on, you guys? So today I'm going to be covering the Suzuki Alto GL800. I'm going to be doing a quick walk around, reviews, a few funny things I found about the car, maybe a few things to watch out for and upgrades I've done to this car. So let's move on to modifications. As you can see, the first modification that you've probably picked up on was the steering wheel. The reason I've done this is the original steering wheel, there was a few problems with mine. It was quite worn around the edges. I wasn't a fan of it. I'm not also a fan of the colour of the steering wheel. It does match the rest of the car, which we will move on to later on. But I'm trying to go for a carbon fibre and black look on the car. It's a bit difficult to do when all the door panels, the dashboard, all your seats are grey. It will take time, but I am looking at continuing with the whole black look on the car. The main reason I also did this, it feels much nicer to be driving. It brings the steering wheel a bit closer to you and just gives you a bit more of a sporty feel. Obviously on this car, sport is not a thing. It is only a 1.1 engine at 63 brake horsepower. It is 16 valve and 4 cylinder. You won't be getting anywhere anytime soon. It'd be very difficult to get a speeding ticket in one of these cars. You get congratulations. The second thing is this button over here and the blue dials. I'm not too sure why they've got open holes with nothing on them. This middle one here adjusts the dip on your headlights. This silver one that I've put in myself was another problem I had on the car. Whenever I was going on a drive, the car was completely fine. But where I live, there's quite a bit of traffic, as you could probably hear. The fan wasn't turning on. The reason I popped the switch in is if you listen, I'm not too sure if you guys can hear that, but the fan does come on when I flip the switch. There's a few benefits behind that I've read on the internet. Your car will switch on its fan when it begins to overheat. This switch is essentially enabling the car to cool down before it gets to the point of overheating. I've heard there's a few benefits. I'm not too sure if they are true, but probably something to look for. So let's bring ourselves into the 2005 Suzuki Alto's engine. It's only a 16 valve, 4 cylinder, 63 brake horsepower, 1.1 engine. As I said earlier on, it won't be getting you anywhere very quick. It does the job. Now moving on to engine modifications that I have done is the cold air intake. There's a few reasons why I've done that. One is mainly for the sound. Two, as I said earlier, I do have the fan running all the time. So it also is probably getting a bit of a cold air intake, as it is quite close to the engine block, which is absolutely tiny. The reason it is here is I couldn't find a way to mount it anywhere else in the car. So moving back onto the interior of the car, the whole car is grey. You do have a nice black part around the head unit, which I will get into. All the floor is grey, the headliner is grey. All your seats and headrests will be grey. Your A-pillars will be grey as well. Your back seats are grey and the carpet does run right the way to the back, which I will show you. So moving on to the head unit of the car. That was one of my other first modifications I've done to the car. Stock on this car you do get two 80-watt Kenwood's front speakers. They are the funny type, so they have got the 2 holes either side, not your usual 4 holes. Doesn't take much modification to fit a normal speaker in there. So I did upgrade my head unit to a JVC Bluetooth head unit. The main reason for this, the original head unit was absolutely pants. The sound quality is not amazing. It hasn't got capabilities for USB. You can't connect your phone to it. It wasn't really sounding very good. So that was an immediate upgrade I felt that needed to be done. I have got other speakers set up in the car, which I will bring you also into. But also moving on the front, you do have an ashtray, quite nice, and you've got a cigarette lighter. You have a little green clock as well built into the car, and a little change holder. That is about it when it comes to the main features of the car on this part. So now let's move on to the dashboard. Let's face it, you'll end up being here a lot of the time. On the original steering wheel, you will find you will have a driver's side airbag. As I've modified mine, I do not. You also get a passenger airbag. The passenger also has a nice little glove compartment. They do not get a mirror. on their sun visor, but they do get electric window. You do not have remote locking on the Altos, it's all through the key, but you do have electrical windows on the front. The back are the old conventional spinny windows, but they work pretty well. Moving on to the heating element side on the Suzuki Alto, as you can hear, it'll be very mechanical. So that's your temperature settings. You've got your cold, medium to hot. There is a few settings between it. I find the cold is a bit mediocre, but it is colder than the ambient car temperature. And the hot is absolutely phenomenal. It takes about 5 minutes for the hotness to get really hot to the point it's uncomfortable. I would say it's a perfect winter car. On the steering wheel, you do get steering lock. There is a few models, not specifically Altos, but other cars that you don't get that steering lock. So for it to be on an Alto like this, let's consider ourselves lucky. You will get your normal hazard lights. You get your rear heating back window. Works alright. I find on one of mine the strip isn't too good. All of your vents are movable, and you do get your side to side tilting. You do get to position where the air will come out, so you can have it straight on your face, which will be all on the top. And if you listen, it is very mechanical. This one here will be on your face and the feet. It does dim down, so the front blowers aren't as strong if it's pointed down to your feet, but they're still strong. You can have it so it's just on your feet. That'll be much stronger. So if you've got cold feet, that would probably be your best idea. You can have it on your feet and the windscreen. I find the windscreen does fog up quite a bit. You can have it on just the windscreen. Obviously, as you adjust your temperature, that will also adjust on every single vent across here. You can have it so it can recycle the air, or it can come straight in. And I don't know if you heard that, but it is very, very mechanical. I quite like it. It's not your conventional button. Now moving on to the gear stick, you will find it is a 5-speed and reverse on the right gear shifter. As I said, it's not very quick, so you're not losing out much speed. On the rear view mirror, you have got your anti-dazzle. Let's see if I can move you up. So there, you have got your anti-dazzle settings across there. As you can see, it's moving, and you do get a lot of movement on that. I do find, for taller people that have driven the car sometimes isn't as comfortable, as you do not have height settings on the seats. You do have your lumbar support, and you do have your tilt and forwards and backwards. What more could you want in a little car like that? So moving on to the Alto's rear end, you've got two ways you can open up the boot. One way will be on the driver's side, just near your feet. There'll be two little levers. One will be for the fuel cap, the other one will be for the boot. The second way you can open up the Alto is with its key that you'd use for the doors, the ignition and the boot. You pop it in, give it a twist and lift it up. This brings me on to the second problem with the Suzuki Alto. Its boot struts from the factory are not too amazing. To get over this, I've made a little device that you pop between the silver part of your boot strut and it holds your boot up. Very easy to do, probably something to look at and consider. They're inexpensive to repair and very easy to fit on. In the boot, this brings me on to my second thing I've done to the car. As you can see up here, I have done the most basic thing most people do. I have added 6x9s into my sound system. This has brought my sound system from here to up here. This was a phenomenal upgrade I've done. I don't look back. My second thing is this 12-inch sub that I built myself. I have wired it in, and it is also connected to the amp, which is underneath the driver's seat. The boots on these Altos are extremely small. I could just about fit a 12-inch sub in there, and surprisingly they do have a full-size 13-inch spare wheel, which we'll get onto in a minute. So you do have this spare wheel under there. What other type of equipment will you get? You get a jack, you get the bar to remove the wheel, and the nut, the lug nut remover. They don't have specific lock lug nuts on these cars, they're all the same size. On some cars you might find it has a locking nut to get rid of possible wheel theft. These Altos do not have that. As you can see, the second modification I have done is, you could just about see here, I've done a backlight tin. The reason for that is to try and individualize them. From factory they are extremely red. I'm personally not a fan of it. I'm also looking at tinting on my windows. Doing that, I did have a wonder in case it might hinder my MOT, as I do live in the UK. Doing that has not given me a problem at all. In fact, I've just passed its MOT. So moving on to the roof of the car. There's one bad thing which isn't occurring on all models, which is this. That to me looks like the clear coat wasn't applied too well. This has happened right the way across the left side of the car. This has also occurred slightly on the boot and slightly on the bonnet. This could be negligence and uncare if the car was left under a tree. The second cool thing about the car is this. That's your aerial. That's what you'll use on your DB radio. This is quite cool to own, as it can be retracted and can be pulled back out. If you're going under something quite low, let's face it, I'm 5'8", this is a tiny car. But if you was going under something low, you can always pop this away. It's probably worth noting that it's good to move this aerial up and down every now and then. If you keep it up, water can run down this aerial and get into its housing. That could and possibly will lock your aerial so you can't move it in or out. Probably best just to drop a bit of lubricant there every now and then. So moving back to the front of the car, let's address the wheels. They are 155 by 65 R13 inch wheels. That means they are 13 inches round and they are tiny. No wonder why they could fit one of these in the tiny boot that comes with them. They are 4 by 100 lug nuts. The front is disc operated, the rear is drum. The drums are actuated with the handbrake. So that was the end of the video. If I missed anything, feel free to put it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Happy driving.